Broadcasting live from the Londonderry Access Center, WLOL.
Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Jillian.
We're with WLOL.
Today we have
Eric with sports,
Dylan with national news,
Spencer with entertainment news about pigeons,
Matt with international news,
Jillian with local news,
Emma with book talk,
and Ken with weather.
and here's Eric with sports.
Thank you, Jill. Do you watch football? And when I say football, I actually mean American soccer. Football or soccer, it doesn't matter how you name the game, but one thing for sure is the history behind football belongs to the Europeans. European football had its humble beginnings in a railroad yard in 1878 right outside of Manchester, England. They had their first match in 1880. The league became independent from the rail company in 1892. That's why, in 1902, they changed their name to Manchester United. Manchester United is the first English team to win the European Cup. Manchester United is the most valuable team on Wall Street, July 2014. Being the most valuable team allows them to compete in international playoff games, and their accomplishments are more than impressive. Being holders of 7 international titles, 19 League Cups, and 53 domestic trophies. One of Manchester United's most talented players is also the captain of the Dutch Olympic team, Robin van Persie. He is the first player to successfully leave the rival Arsenal club since 1987. Why did he want to go? Well, Van Persie was in a small fight with his team and coach. Once he thought about switching, he immediately went to the league. Back to you, Jill.
I never knew Robin van Persie played on Manchester United.
I didn't either.
Here's Dylan with national news.
Thanks, Matt. Have you ever thought about traveling to Mars and living on the red planet? This is a one-way trip being planned by Base Landrop, the chemical engineer behind the Mars One mission, who wants to colonize Mars by the year 2027. In order to sign up to take this trip, there are many things you may want to think about. According to NASA Gov, Mars is 33.9 million miles away from Earth at its closest distance and will take approximately 260 days to get there. That's about 9 months. The temperature on Mars is unstable, hitting from a minus 225 degrees below zero to a high of 6 degrees above zero, with an average temperature of minus 67 degrees. Raging winds and dust storms are frequent. Your body must adapt to life without gravity. You'll experience muscle and bone loss. Your blood circulation will change, causing increased heart rate, puffy face, increased nausea, vomiting, headache. Your immune system must be compromised, making you more prone to infection. If you want to make Mars your new home, you need to be 18 years or older and send a resume in a 1-minute video to www.community.mars1.com to apply. Up and away. See you in the stars. Back to you, Matt.
It's awesome that people are going to Mars.
Yeah.
Now to Spencer with an interview.
Is a senator.
Hey, Spencer, it's great to be with you today. A senator, each state has 2 senators, and we are elected by the people of our state. And under our Constitution, the Constitution says to be a senator, you have to be at least 30 years old and live in your state, and then you run for office and get elected by the people of the state. And what I do is I work in Washington, D.C., and I work on solving problems for the country by putting together laws and passing laws that will then have to pass the Senate, the House of Representatives, and go to the President. So I work on putting laws together and passing laws.
It's very cool.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a really interesting job. And I work on a number of different topics, whether it's things that impact our military or the environment or education. So there's a lot of different things I get to work on.
What does a senator do in a typical day?
So in a typical day, a senator has to, first of all, sometimes I go to hearings where we have people who come bring us information on different topics so that we can learn and make good decisions on the laws that we're going to have to vote on. And then I have to sometimes go to the Senate floor when we have a piece of a law on the floor that we're voting on. I have to vote on different pieces of it and say, do I agree with a change that might be made to it? Do I agree with the law? And we have to debate it and talk about it. And so we have people that have different viewpoints, and we talk about the laws, and then we take a vote. So that's a typical day. And then today I get to be with you, which is kind of fun.
Sounds important.
Yes.
What do you like the most about your job?
What I like the most about my job is that I have an opportunity to make a difference for people in New Hampshire and the country. And I also get to meet a lot of neat people like you, and I learn a lot every single day, and that helps me be better at my job.
That's cool. What do you like to do in your free time?
What do I like to do in my free time? So I have 2 kids, and their names Kate and Jake, and we like to go hike in the woods. We like to go running, and in the wintertime we like to go sledding. So there's lots of fun things I like to do in my free time.
Yeah, I like to sled too.
You like to sled too? It was a lot of snow for sledding this year. It was a good sledding year. Yeah.
How do you balance work and family life?
So balancing work and family life, I have a lot of help. So my husband helps a lot, and we're a team. And then my family, my parents help. They live close to me. And sometimes I bring my kids. They'll come to Washington and visit me, and so sometimes they come to where I work. In the summer, they're going to come down for a couple weeks, and I'm looking forward to that. And so I think balancing work and family life is finding time for both, and then having a lot of people that help you.
That sounds nice. What is your favorite accomplishment as a senator?
Well, there have been things that I've been able to work on, but 2 are important to me. This week, we got a bill, Senator Shaheen and I, so the other senator from New Hampshire, we worked together, and we got a bill that is going to make sure that when our police officers or firefighters, their families, if something happens to them and their families get benefits, that those benefits won't be taxed, and we got that passed into law this week. And then also we've worked together to make sure our veterans, those who have served our country in the military, get the health care that they need and deserve for having served our country.
My grandpa was a veteran.
He was. And do you know which war he served in?
Korean.
Korean. Wow, that's great. And my grandfather was too. My grandfather served in World War II before Korea. Yeah.
Who is your role model in the Senate?
My role model, I have to say, in the Senate, there's a lot of different people I work with, and I take different things from different people that they're good at or they're strong at, or they have good character and they've shown that they can be good to people. But the biggest role model I have is my mother, because my mother is the person who's always, taught me to work hard, taught me what the right thing to do is, and then she's still my best friend. So even when I have a problem, I call her now, and I talk to her about it.
Moms are important.
Yes, moms are. You have a great mom.
Yeah, thank you. Did you always want to be a senator when you grew up?
When I grew up, I didn't. When I grew up, I didn't realize that I could be a senator. Wasn't even sure what a senator did, and what I ended up doing is I graduated from high school and went to go to college, and then I became a lawyer, and I started working in that field, and then I realized the thing that I love to do the most is to serve people and to make a difference. And so that's what led me to become a senator. Before I was senator, I was attorney general. And so as attorney general, I worked with the law enforcement in the state, and I worked on keeping the state safe and working on any kind of legal matter that impacted the state. But I loved it because I get to get up every day and make a difference, and the same reason I decided to be a senator. And by the way, the people of New Hampshire had to elect me to do that, so I had to talk to them and see what they thought, and they decided to allow me to serve in this position.
It's cool.
It is cool. Very cool.
What other jobs did you have before you became a senator?
So before I became a senator, I mentioned to you I was attorney general of the state.
Yeah.
And as attorney general, that job, you're the chief law enforcement officer. So I work with the police on all kinds of matters to keep the state safe. I worked, if there were legal problems the state had, I'd work on helping solve those legal problems. And before I was Attorney General, I was a prosecutor. So I would go, and if someone did something wrong, I would have to prove what happened and go before a jury and have the jury decide what should happen in the case. So I worked on that too. Yeah.
Yeah, like lawyers.
Yes.
What advice would you give to kids who want to become a senator?
So advice I would give to kids that want to be a senator, I would say, first of all, study hard and do good in school, right? So learn to read well and write, and then I would say to be a senator, go out and serve in your community. So sometimes there are people you can help, people who need our help. So being a senator, that's part of it. And I think doing well in school and going out in your community and helping people, those are the best advice I would give to kids that think they want to be a senator.
That's good advice.
Yes. Well, I hope that you might think about being a senator, or maybe some of your friends when they see this newscast you're doing, so that they know that they can do it. Because I grew up in New Hampshire, and I think that anyone who puts their mind to it can do it.
Thank you.
Thanks. It was great to be in this interview today. Thank you for asking me to do this.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
It's awesome that Spencer got to chat with Senator Ayotte.
I wish I could do that too.
Now to Spencer with news about pigeons.
Thanks, Matt. Have you ever wanted a pet pigeon? I bet you haven't. I've got some largely unknown information about pigeons. Some people breed pigeons to race them. Pigeon racing has been around for a while and is still around today. Pigeon racing is actually an official sport. The pigeons are timed with electric watches. They start by flying from a specific location back to their home lofts. Sadly, many birds die in shelters because they don't get a home. You may not think about adopting a pigeon, aka rats with wings, as some may call them, but they need homes. For those of you who love birds, if you'd like to adopt a pigeon, you should get a pigeon coop or a large dog crate for their cage. You should fill the cage with newspapers. If you have your coop outside, make sure to make it rodent and predator proof. Pigeons can also get diseases, one of which I've seen before, bumblefoot. All it does is make their feet puffy. If you are breeding pigeons, make sure to take their egg away as soon as possible so it can be hatched in an incubator. Put a fake egg in the nest so they don't freak out. It takes approximately 17 to 19 days for a pigeon egg to hatch. A baby pigeon is called a squab. If you own a pigeon, it is healthy to let it out of its cage once a day. They may find a spot where they like to hang out. It's good to get your pigeon a friend so it can spend time with it. They also walk more than fly, so don't worry about it flying away. They are not afraid of other pets as long as they are kept safe. Now back to you, Jill.
I feel bad for those pigeons.
Me too.
Now I'm out with international news.
Thanks, Jill. The largest Ebola outbreak in history is still threatening to take lives in West Africa. Some of the symptoms include nausea, vomiting, rash, chest pain, cough, stomach pain, and severe weight loss. The disease was first discovered in 1976. It infected 284 people, and the mortality rate was 53%. That means about half the people infected died. The recent Ebola outbreak started in Guinea, West Africa in February 2014 and spread to other countries, killing many people. Many American doctors and humanitarian aid workers go to Africa to help people with Ebola. Unfortunately, they may get Ebola without even realizing it. Two examples of helping hands that were affected by this disease are Dr. Kent Bradley and Nancy Ripple, both affected by the disease, but luckily they both survived. Small cases were also found in other parts of Africa. On April 3, 2015, Freetown, Sierra Leone really forced a push to get rid of Ebola. For 3 days, everybody in the community had to stay in their homes, forbidden to leave, to eliminate the spread of the disease unless they need to leave for religious matters. Scientists have made a drug to cure Ebola, and it is called ZMapp, and it works. Scientists and doctors are trying hard to wipe out this disease before it spreads anywhere else. Back to you, Jill.
It's so sad that so many people died from Ebola.
I know, it's very sad. And now to Jillian with local news.
Thanks, Matt. Who knew horses could be such a great help to us? At Oak Ridge Therapeutic Riding Center, horses are a helping friend. Pre-owned by Naki Loeb for 18 years now, she has been raising foals and training horses to become experienced therapeutic horses. You might think, how could a horse care for and assist someone with disabilities? Well, therapeutic horsemanship has many benefits. By improving mental and physical well-being in a number of ways, It can help people from all kinds of backgrounds, including those who are usually hard to engage in general activities. Upreach was started by 2 volunteers and a borrowed horse. Since then, they have been teaching clients how to feed, groom, and care for their chosen horses. Upreach Therapeutic Riding Center is located on 153 Page Hill Road in Goffstown, New Hampshire. Upreach offers year-round riding and driving horses. They teach in an indoor riding arena in all sections. After you are done riding or driving your horse, you go to the grooming post and learn how to feed and groom your horse. Do you like riding for a cause? If you do, then you will love Upreach. But thanks for listening. Back to you, Matt.
Who knew horses were such a help?
That's why I love them so much.
Now to Emma with the book talk.
Thanks, Matt. To Kill a Mockingbird fans, you're in luck. On January 24th, 2015, Harper Lee, after 54 years, announced there's going to be a sequel after all. The sequel, titled Ghost of the Watchman, was actually written before To Kill a Mockingbird. Tondra Carter, Lee's lawyer, had found the manuscript to Watchmen. The book is currently set to come out on July 14th, 2015, with a printing quantity of 2 million copies. The definition of the novel's title, Watchmen, describes whomever is the moral compass of this town may come. The book, yet again, is written from Scout's perspective. Lee had originally thought that the manuscript of Watchmen was actually lost or destroyed. When Carter had found the manuscript, Lee had shared it with very few people. The feedback was largely taken in, with comments such as, "This is great, and you should really publish this." Lee, of course, took the advice and went back to HarperCollins Publishing Company to get Watchmen published. In the sequel, Scout is set to return to her hometown, Macomb, Alabama. After 20 years away, Scout is drawn back to visit her father. You're going to have to read to see what happens next. Ghost of the Watchman is available for pre-order online. It is also hitting bookstores on July 14th, 2015. This is Emma signing off. Back to you, Matt and Jillian.
There's a sequel to Kill a Mockingbird?
Apparently.
Now to Caden with weather.
Thanks, Jillian. Have you ever been in a hurricane? Hurricanes rotate counterclockwise, but hurricanes aren't tornadoes. They're really superstorms with epic winds. The commonest winds in the hurricane are in the eye of the hurricane or storm. The whole entire hurricane winds rotates around this eye. One about a mile or so away from the eye, and you'll find the eyeball of the hurricane. These winds are the most destructive in the whole hurricane. Hurricanes can make it rain and dump 2.4 trillion gallons of water in a day. Storm surges can also happen. A storm surge is a rise of ocean water caused by pressure, so be prepared and get out of the way. Hurricanes can also make tornadoes, but a hurricane has to be a supercell hurricane. In 2014, Hurricane Arthur started out as a thunderstorm, then later strengthened into a supercell hurricane that spawned a few nasty EF1 tornadoes that luckily did very little damage. It took aim at North Carolina, then plowed up the east coast. The tornado was Category 2 with moderate damage and wind speeds from 96 to 110 miles an hour. It was the first time a July hurricane has hit North Carolina since they began keeping records in 1851. To have a hurricane in July is very early in hurricane season. To prepare for hurricanes, picture you have a basement, but make a plan where to go to the basement. If you don't have a basement, go to the safest room in the house. Make sure you have a radio and batteries, food, water, and a flashlight because the power will go out. Back to you, Dylan and Matt.
I never knew Kate knew so much about hurricanes.
Me too.
That's all the time we have.
Have an awesome day.
This is WLOL signing off. Bye.
This is WHAT News coming to you live from the Londonderry Access Center.
Hi, I'm Justin.
And I'm Maddie.
This is WHAT News. Our top stories today are Elizabeth with orangutans,
Lauren with circus elephants,
Dylan with an interview on Mr. Dutton and the sorcerer's hat removal,
Justin with the junkyard fire,
Maddie with Blizzard Juno,
Tyler with a story on Avery Bradley,
and Jenna with Amazon rainforest deforestation. Now here's Elizabeth with orangutans.
Thanks, Justin. Do you know how many orangutans have died in the past 60 years? Well, let me tell you, it's more than you would expect. Orangutans spend 99% of their day in the trees, but unfortunately, those trees are being cut down because of illegal logging. 5 to 6 million acres of trees are being cut down each year. That's a lot of trees being cut down, and it's destroying animal habitat. Even though we need the wood to make things such as houses and paper, it's very damaging to nature. That's not the only way orangutans are dying, though. They are also dying because of forest fires, which are burning down their habitat. There are many organizations that help the orangutans, such as Borneo Orangutan Survival and Orangutan Conservancy. Both organizations help stop logging and deforestation to save the orangutans. They also raise money for the sick or weak orangutans. All of these organizations are asking to help the surviving orangutans live. Orangutans are a lot like people and are very smart. They eat like humans and they think like humans. Once orangutans see a human do something, they immediately learn how to do it. It's happened many times at zoos when the orangutans see the zookeeper lock up. Then, in the morning, they are found wandering around the zoo. These acts help scientists learn more about both humans and orangutans and how they learn and act. These orangutans are in need and they need someone to help them. Logging has to stop and all this ruckus needs to end. Back to you, Justin.
I never knew orangutans were so smart.
Neither did I. Next up is Lauren with circus elephants.
Thanks, Maddie. The circus is known as the greatest show on earth. Some may say it should be called the saddest show on earth. Did you know that every time you visit the circus, you help abuse those animals? About 300 days out of the year are spent locked up for those poor circus animals. It's the worst for elephants because they're the biggest. Elephants in the wild live to be about 70 years old, but those who are forced to perform in the circus only live to be about 39 years old. That's 31 years of their life stolen away from the circus. Elephants have been in the circus since the early 1900s. So why are they just finding out now that it's bad? Elephants in a circus will get poked and prodded with a bull hook. A bull hook is a stick with a very sharp end. During training, elephants will get poked with this bull hook. Elephants have rough skin, but there are some spots where elephants have very sensitive skin, like behind their ears, on the backs of their legs, and under their stomach. That's where they get poked the most. Ringling Bros, Barnum, and Bailey Circus are going to have fewer elephants in their circus because of complaints from animal rights groups. They're complaining because the elephants were being abused during the show. Eventually, by 2018, Ringling Bros will stop featuring elephants in its shows. Back to you, Maddie.
I can't believe people would hurt circus elephants.
I know, it's so sad. Now here's Dylan with an interview on Mr. Dutton.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for being here today. Okay, let's get started. Was being a principal a dream you had as a child?
I've always, ever since a child, wanted to be in education, surrounded by students, and working with children. So that has been a dream job for me.
Okay. What made you want to be an elementary school principal?
I think I always wanted to, as I went through education, just wanted to be a leader in a building, and to be surrounded by elementary students has been a dream job.
Okay. Do you enjoy being an elementary school principal?
Absolutely. It's been a great experience, and it's, as I've told many people, it's tough not to smile every day, and it's just a wonderful place. So I'm extremely proud to be principal here at North Elementary.
Were you ever a principal anywhere else?
Before here, I was an assistant principal at the high school with the big kids, and I was also a teacher before that.
Were you ever a teacher before or just a principal?
I was a teacher before being an assistant principal, and I was an English teacher at the high school, and also a track and cross-country coach here in Londonderry.
What was the application process like?
It was very rigorous. It was a lot of work, but it was a great process to go through, and as I said before, just extremely proud to be principal here at North.
Okay. What do you like to do when you're not at school?
Be with my family. I have twins at home, a boy and a girl, Lincoln and Stella, who are just will be 5 this summer, and be going into kindergarten, and then we'll be actually first graders here at North a year from now.
What is your favorite part about your job?
Coming to work every day and being here. It's just an outstanding staff, amazing group of students, and it's just every day is a new day. It's a lot of fun.
Were you excited and nervous to start your new job?
Absolutely. I think anytime starting a new job, a new adventure, but it's also exciting and very rewarding. So,
thanks for taking your time off for being here today, and that's it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Now here's Dylan with the sorcerer's hat removal.
Thanks, Justin. Did you know that Disney's getting rid of the iconic sorcerer's hat? They're replacing it with an attraction inspired by the movie Frozen. The movie Fantasia was inspired by the sorcerer's hat. The hat was celebrated with the park's 100 years of magic. Also, the hat served as a souvenir shop and a cash shop to buy collectible Disney pins. The sorcerer's hat has been a sight to see since 2001. Some people think it blocks the Chinese theater, and others think it just doesn't belong. Disney announced in October they would dismantle the structure. Many parkgoers are happy about the removal, and also many parkgoers are mad about the removal. They say they can now look down Hollywood Boulevard. The hat was a staggering 122 feet tall. Here's a quote from Joey Cohen. "It's a shame to see things go, but I can remember things that were here when I was a kid that just aren't here anymore." Back to you, Justin.
I wonder what the new Frozen attraction will look like.
I bet it'll be amazing. Now we have Justin with the junkyard fire.
Thanks, Maddie. Have you heard of the fire at Murray's Auto Salvage? It happened in Londonderry, New Hampshire, at 55 Hall Road on Londonderry on February 5th, 2015. Neighbors told police they heard music coming from the shop. They also reported seeing sparks of light coming from inside. Investigators said it will take a while to pinpoint what caused the fire. They also said it was a very big fire that destroyed the whole salvage yard. The leaders of the investigators were Londonderry Fire Marshal Brian Johnson, 2 state fire marshals, and police. The Londonderry firefighters couldn't save the garage. The garage got double-teamed that night because right after the first fire was put out, the second one roared up. It was very intense because barrels full of chemicals caused explosions in the store part of Murray's. According to the owner, no one was hurt. He said, "It was crazy. You close up and everything was okay, then it's blazing." One neighbor was so scared she couldn't get any sleep. She said she and her husband were on their porch when the fire started. They thought the fire would get to their house and burn it to the ground. It took over an hour for firefighters to bring the blaze under control. It took several teams to bring down the monster blaze. They were Londonderry, Manchester, Litchfield, Wyndham, Auburn, Merrimack, and Bedford. The fire was very dangerous. Thankfully, firefighters could stop it before it did any more damage than it did. It could have destroyed a whole neighborhood if it wasn't stopped. This is Justin signing off of WHHE News. Back to you, Maddie.
That fire was so destructive.
It was. Now we have Maddie with Blizzard Juno.
Thanks, Justin. With a record-breaking total of 110.6 inches, Boston's been hammered with snow this season. At the beginning of winter, there was very little snow, but at the end of January, Blizzard Juno struck the Northeast, bringing inches of snow and creating large amounts of damage. The residents of Boston were hit hard by Blizzard Juno. The forceful blizzard created a lot of damage across the Northeast at the end of January. There was no place to put the snow in the streets of Boston. Many schools and businesses were closed for a week or more. That's a lot of snow days. Parking bans were leaving people with no place to park. At Logan International Airport, most flights were canceled, leaving people stranded. In the Northeast, many warnings and advisories had to be put in place. Winter storm warnings were set in place from Long Island to Maine. Blizzard warnings were set in place from Rhode Island to Maine. The heaviest snow bands were north and east in New York City. New Hampshire and Maine even declared a state of emergency. The National Weather Service described the blizzard as a crippling and potentially historic blizzard. The wind had topped 75 miles per hour. At times in certain areas, several inches would fall per hour. 2,000 plows were in Boston at the time of the blizzard. Utility crews were standing by, ready for potentially dangerous outages, including fires or utility poles falling down on houses or roads. Overall, Blizzard Juno has made history to be one of the worst blizzards in Boston and all over the Northeast. In Boston alone, snow removal could cost more than $30 million. Juno created lots of damage, including ice dams and roof collapses. Blizzard Juno was a very harsh and powerful storm. Back to you, Justin.
I didn't know Boston got so much snow.
It was a crazy amount of snow. Next up is Tyler with a story on Avery Bradley.
Thanks, Maddie. Is Avery Bradley your hero? He scores lots of points for the Celtics each game. He's a very good defender. He's young, 24, and skinny. He got drafted in the 19th pick of the first round of the draft when he was 19 years old. His parents' names are Alicia Jones Bradley and Avery Bradley Sr. And Avery was born on November 26, 1990, in Tacoma, Washington. He also has one older brother and two older sisters. Sadly, Avery's parents became divorced in 2001, but he still has a very strong relationship with his father. In 2014, Avery recorded his 1,000th career point against the Toronto Raptors. Later that year, he achieved his career high of 10 rebounds. Then he reached a career high of 31 points scored in a game. Finally, his first triple-double. A triple-double is when you score 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. Avery Bradley gets paid at least $3,500 per game. His highest points ever were 31. He creates great plays. Recently, Avery outwitted a defender who thought he was going to pass the ball to his teammate, Evan Turner. Bradley changed direction and went under the basket for the reverse layup and the two-pointer. On March 30th, Avery led the Boston Celtics past the Charlotte Hornets. Is Avery Bradley your hero now? This is Tyler Murray signing off. Back to you, Maddie.
He sounds like a very good player for the Celtics.
He is a very good player. And our last story today is Jenna with Amazon rainforest deforestation.
Thanks, Justin. Do you know how much deforestation is happening in the Brazilian Amazon? Brazil's battle against deforestation was one of the big environmental success stories of the last decade. Between 2005 and 2012, the amount of Amazon rainforest cut down each year fell by 70%. But the good news may not last for long. Deforestation in the Brazilian Amazon started rising slightly in 2013, and satellite data now suggests that the amount of forest being cleared away has been increasing sharply over the last half of 2014. The recent increase in deforestation was observed by a Brazilian nonprofit that uses satellite data to track forest loss. They've estimated that 1,660 square kilometers of rainforest were cleared between August 2014 and January 2015, thus tripled the amount cleared during the same period the previous years. Data shows there is a rise in deforestation all over the country. Annual destruction of its Amazon rainforest jumped 28% after 4 straight years of declines. It was, however, still the second lowest amount of jungle destroyed since Brazil began tracking deforestation in 1988. The rainforest is considered one of the most important natural defenses against global warming because of its capacity to absorb huge amounts of carbon dioxide. Back to you, Justin.
I really hope deforestation stops in the Amazon.
Me too. And that wraps up WHAT News.
We'll see you next time.
This is the Access Center in Londonderry, New Hampshire. WOMG now.
Hello, I'm Zach.
And I'm Lindsay.
Welcome to WOMG.
We'll be having a story about
ISIS by Michael,
weather by Minnie,
local news by Michaela,
Emily has an interview with Kevin, our daily custodian,
Caleb with STEM,
and Melissa with international news,
Lacey with history,
and Zach with sports.
Here's Michael with ISIS.
Thanks, Zach. Is ISIS repeating history? Do they share the same thought the Nazis did, destroying priceless artwork? Find out the heartbreaking news on WOMG. The Islamic leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi told his men to destroy and target ancient monuments, books, and priceless artifacts. Why is ISIS targeting their religious artifacts? I thought they were fighting for the Muslim religion, right? On February 25, 2015, in Mosul, Iraq, the Islamic State destroyed 8,000 books. Why are they doing this? Two reasons are to have publicity and to scare the globe. ISIS is bulldozing, smashing, blowing up, and using powerful chainsaws to destroy these places' masterpieces. They're doing the same thing Nazi Germany did, destroying masterpieces in public. The countries fighting ISIS make a special group to protect these places' artifacts from the Middle Eastern people. Bahadi, your terrorist group has murdered 170,000 people, and why do you have to hurt the world even more by breaking all these precious artwork in your Middle Eastern history? Have some respect, Bahadi, because you are a sickness that has affected so much people, and how people up to you makes you want to barf. You are making this part of the world dark. This is my Nancy for WOMG, and have an awesome day. Good night, town Londonderry. Back to you, Lacey.
Why would ISIS destroy those artifacts from over 1,000 years ago?
I don't know. What a tragedy.
Now here's Rennie with weather. Thanks, Lacey. Do you know how water spouts form and damage? I will give you the information so you know how. If you don't know what a water spout is, it is a column of cloud filled when rotating over a body of water. I bet you're asking yourself, how do they form? Well, first of all, I've got to tell you the type of water spouts there are. One of them is called a tornadic water spout, which is not very helpful because it causes massive damage and can cause many injuries. It first starts as a true tornado, then goes into the ocean, which causes a water spout. The second one is a fair water spout, which forms more often. The fair spout is rarely dangerous, and they don't move as fast. Now, how do they form? Well, it has 5 stages. 1, the dark point. This is when the surface takes on a dark appearance when the vortex of rotating wind reaches the dark spot. 2, spiral patterns. Dark and light bands radiate out from a dark spot or spots. 3, spiral ring. It is when the ring in the sea is swirling cascade around the dark point. It will have an eye like hurricanes. 4, mature vortex. The water spout gets to its highest intense stage. It will be more visible from sea, air, and land. It will be a hollow funnel surrounded by vapor. Finally, 5, decay. A water flow of air will finally flow into the vortex and it weakens. Then all of a sudden, the water spout will collapse. But don't worry, the National Weather Service, NWS, recognize any danger by the water spouts. The only people who are in danger are swimmers, boats, and an aircraft. Also, if you live away from the oceans, you are safe from any water spout. Now, just don't have a good night. Have an American night. Back to you, Zach.
Goodness, people contract the water spouts.
Now I know what to do if I see a water spout.
Now Michaela with local news.
Thanks, Zach. Did you know that both Londonderry High School basketball teams have won state championship this year? This is the first time that both teams have won in Division I since Nashua did it in 1986. No one expected the girls to repeat as champions in 2015. They had lost several key players, Eliza Simpson and Casey Evans, and their coach, John Figula. He had stepped down last year. However, they had a great performance from their players and their new coach, Nick Theos. He has many years of coaching experience. On Friday, March 13th, the girls basketball team won the championship by a score of 48-33. They played Winnicott High School. What made it even more exciting was their former coach, John Figula, came to cheer them on. It was their 3rd championship in school history. The 2014 to 2015 season was a special one for the boys. They had a perfect performance. Among the talented players was Division I Player of the Year, Cody Ball. On Saturday, March 21st, the boys team had won the championship at UNH. They played against Pinkerton Academy. It was a close game and very exciting to watch. Sophomore Brandon Radford scored to put the Lancers ahead 47-46. Congratulations to both teams, and we wish them continued success. Back to you.
What a coincidence that both the boys and the girls won the championship.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Now here's Emily with an interview with Kevin.
Thanks, Lacey. And today I am interviewing Mr. Kevin. So, what made you want to be a custodian?
Just working around the schools and taking care of things. I'm kind of a handy guy, and I love kids. It's my life. I'd do anything for anybody, and this makes me happy. It's a good thing to be here every day.
How long have you been a custodian?
8 years.
Do you have any happiest moments of your job?
Yeah, actually, they had Mr. Kevin Day over here when I first started working, and it was very humbling. It was probably one of the best days of my life.
Was being a custodian your dream job?
No, I did a lot of construction. I fell to a roof and got hurt, so I couldn't do my other job anymore. And this is where I ended up, and I'm very glad I did.
Do you have any negative parts about your job?
No, not one.
If you could change your job, would you?
Yeah, be the boss. But for now, I like where I am.
What is a typical day like for you?
Hectic. Always running around. staying very busy, which is a good thing.
Did you apply to anything else before you were a custodian?
Yes, I did construction. For 25 years, I was a project manager in a construction company. And like I said, I got hurt and couldn't do my duties anymore, so this is why I'm here.
What do you do when you aren't in school?
I hang out. I do different things. I have a bicycle that I ride. Animals that I take care of my yard. I like to stay busy all the time.
That's all. Back to you, Lacey.
Kevin, he's a very good man.
I'm so happy Kevin was able to make the interview.
Here's Caleb with STEM.
Thanks, Zach. I'll be talking about STEM. STEM is for science, technology, engineering, and math. Science is the study of the natural world. Technology is where you'll learn that not all technology is digital. Here's an example. A chair or a pencil is technology. Engineering is the design process kids use to solve problems. Math, they talk about the language of numbers, shapes, and quantities that may seem so irrelevant to many of you at this time. I bet you're asking, how can you do it? I will tell you how. It can be done by tweaking your students' lessons, activities, and homework and language. Teachers create an environment where STEM is a natural but effective part of the curriculum. Where can you find quality STEM lessons? I will tell you where. You can search on Google for STEM lessons. There will be plenty of results. However, word of caution. Not everything that claims to be STEM is actually STEM. Are you wondering how it will help your students? I will tell you how. Research data says that by the time many students reach 4th grade, a third of boys and girls have lost interest in science. By 8th grade, almost 50% have lost interest or consider it irrelevant to their education or their future jobs and plans. STEM will stop this from happening. Here's a fact I bet you don't know. Recently, President Obama's administration launched the Educate to Vote the program. Object is to have more schools take on STEM programs and ask the communities and business leaders to encourage STEM into schools. Caleb Howard signing out. Back to you, Lacey.
I can't believe people are losing interest in science.
What will happen if all the students are no longer interested in science?
Here's Melissa with National News.
SeaWorld seems like a happy place, right? Well, let's take a closer look. SeaWorld is keeping secrets. Do you remember one of the trainers, Dawn Branchew? No? She was a successful trainer at SeaWorld, except one day she died. She was killed by one of the killer whales, Tilly Coombe. Why would this friendly killer whale do something like this? Could it be that being in a small space led them into this aggressive act? SeaWorld trainers that say they care for them have abused the animals. Dean Gomersall was fired from SeaWorld for intentionally kicking an otter. Jeffrey Venture got fired for putting his head into an orca's mouth, simply for pleasure, which caused it to be aggressive. PETA, People Aesthetical Treatment Animals, encourages families to stay away from SeaWorld. The orcas are forced to swim in endless circles. Stressed dolphins take their boredom out on each other by fighting, and walrus regurgitate their food for entertainment. It's all so wrong. There is always another side to every story. SeaWorld says they do not collect killer whales from the wild. In fact, they haven't taken any killer whale from the wild for 35 years. They recognize the connection between a calf and a mother killer whale. SeaWorld also says that the lifespan of the animal in SeaWorld are the exact same as the lifespans they have in the wild. They also say that SeaWorld is the leader of animal rescue. But is this all true? Thank you. I'm Melissa. Good day. Back to you, Zach.
Animals in their treatment.
I feel bad for those orcas.
Now here's Lacey with history.
Thanks, Zach. Have you ever wondered how African Americans escaped from slavery? They used what's called an underground railroad.
An underground railroad is a system just for African Americans to escape from slavery. As slaves, African Americans sometimes worked for 24 hours or got frequently whipped or badly hurt. That's why they used underground railroads to run away and hide from slavery. Recently, one man, Steve Rossinelli, was looking through an old antique store and found a pile of books. One caught his eye. It read on the cover, it said 1862. He read a couple pages and knew it was written by an abolitionist. He knew he should buy it. Steve was determined to find out who the journal belonged to. He wrote to the New Hampshire Library's Underground Railroad historians and also Shaker Village at Enfield, New Hampshire. He was contacted by Richard Henderson. Henderson told Steve that he was familiar with many places and names from the journal. Richard Henderson discovered the journal belonged to a man named James Wood. Wood was born on March 22, 1823 in Leland, New Hampshire. The journal described his life as a farmer and his work to help slaves. If you found this information interesting and want to learn more, head to one of your local libraries to check out the book about Underground Railroads. Back to you, Zach.
It's pretty cool how Steve found a book that was written by an abolitionist.
Finally, here's Zach on sports.
Who's your favorite coach? How about giving Chip Kelly a shot? Charles Kelly was born in Dover, New Hampshire on November 25th, 1963. He attended Central High School in Manchester, New Hampshire, and played as quarterback for the Little Green. Later in college, he played defensive back at UNH, University of New Hampshire, and earned his Bachelor's of Science degree in Physical Education in 1990. After graduating from UNH, Chip Kelly spent several years as an assistant coach. For a new perspective, he became the offensive coordinator at Oregon State from 2007 to 2008. He became the head coach in 2009. In his first season as a coach, Chip helped the team compete in a conference championship in the Pac-12 division. Chip got Oregon State to the Rose Bowl 3 times in 4 years. He led the Pac-10 division with 38.15 points per game. In 2008, the Oregon Ducks once again led the Pac-10 division with 41.7 points per game. Kelly led the Ducks to an undefeated season in 2012, ending 12-0. After that, they lost 22-19 to the Auburn Tigers in the BCS National Championship in a last-second field goal. In 2010 alone, Kelly won AP Coach of the Year, Pac-10 Division Coach of the Year, and also the A. Robinson Coach of the Year award. He has won a total of 8 awards throughout the years of 2009 to 2013. In 2013, Kelly then went to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL. He is still in the NFL. This is his 3rd season with the Philadelphia Eagles. Kelly has made the playoffs with his team once out of 3 attempts. Can this great coach from Dover, New Hampshire, take his team to the ultimate challenge, to the Super Bowl? Stay tuned. Back to you, Lacey.
He's a very talented man.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Lacey.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.